On Friday, May 25th, Tommy Robinson was arrested for live streaming outside of a courthouse where a Muslim rape gang trial was having its sentencing done. He was arrested that day and that very day sentenced to 13 months in prison, a combination of a contempt of court charge and a breaching the peace charge that comes from the fact that this trial had a gag order placed on it. You were not allowed to report it, despite the fact that Tommy Robinson was simply reading out previously reported facts, and this particular section of the trial was already over and he was outside of the courthouse. Apparently none of that mattered because he was instantly imprisoned, and then his imprisonment itself had a gag order placed upon it. They didn't want this information getting out in the media. Nevertheless, the media did put a little bit of this information out before some of the UK-based news organizations took their stories down. Well, the word had been spread, and the very next day at 10 Downing Street, a large spontaneous protest gathered, eventually accelerating to the point that there were people climbing the fences of Downing Street and threatening to invade the house of the Prime Minister. Then on the 9th of June, an organized rally was held, this time with thousands of people massing on Trafalgar Square to demand that Tommy be freed. At one point, they actually got so rambunctious that they forced the police to turn and flee. This is the level of protest, this is the level of outrage that's being manifested around the unfair jailing of Tommy Robinson. On June 14th, Tommy was moved to from a low security prison to a high security prison whose large Muslim population meant imminent danger for Tommy. His first night after the move, he was subjected to other inmates banging on the walls of his cell and threatening to kill him. The move was reportedly ordered by the Home Secretary's office, and this prompted many members of the European Parliament to write an open letter to the Home Secretary, essentially saying, if anything happens to Tommy Robinson in this prison, you will personally be held to account. Now, because of the massive Muslim population within this prison, they were forced, for Tommy's own protection, to keep him in solitary confinement. So that means that because he was filming outside of a court case that had a gag order on it, for over a year, he will be in a small concrete cell all alone for 23 hours a day. We in America call that cruel and unusual punishment. Punishment not befitting the crime, but grossly exceeding it. Now, for the British public, it seems, are finally waking up. They have been patient up till now, trusting that their institutions of law would uphold justice. They've trusted their police to protect the innocent and the courts to punish the guilty, and they have found their trust betrayed. People like Tommy Robinson and videos such as this one that show a gang of men in broad daylight attempting to kidnap a child off of a busy UK street. Things such as this have finally broken through the haze of the British public, and it seems that the British citizens are finally waking up. It seems like despite all of the media, all of the political class attempting to smother the will of the British people, it seems that the embers burn yet. And in the attempt of these controlling elites to smother it and snuff it out once and for all, they have succeeded only in fanning the flames, only in sparking the kindling and igniting a fire which threatens to burst into a raging inferno. This is the will of the English people. This is the will of people who have had wool pulled over their eyes for too long, who have had their daughters savaged by gangs, who are protected by police, who fear being called racist, who are covered up for by the media, who fear that if the public knew what was going on, they would reject the political outlay that has been decided for them. They would fight against the political programs that are meant to destroy their society. Well, that is indeed what is happening, and the rage of the English is starting to boil over. And now videos are surfacing that purport to show Englishmen taking the law into their own hands. A vigilante group in Scotland surrounded the house of a suspected pedophile, and the ensuing melee eventually required over 50 police officers to get the suspect safely out of his house. Another video just a few days later shows a community surrounding the car of a local rape gang suspect, attacking him with wooden clubs. A kebab shop where one suspect worked had its storefront smashed in by a truck, a clear warning to the suspects who still live and work in the community while the trial proceeds. Indeed, the fire is rising in the UK, and it will be soon a raging inferno. A protest against Donald Trump's visit is planned for July 13th, and the very next day, a mass protest in order to free Tommy Robinson is being held in London. It's July 14th, also known as Bastille Day, the day celebrating the first violent act of the French Revolution when protesters stormed the famous prison to release political prisoners, a violent act of revolution against the elites who had abused their powers for too long, a symbolic and I would say fitting day upon which to hold a rally to free Tommy Robinson. In England, the flame of revolution has been lit, and this coming Saturday, we will see how brightly it burns. The political class is in a panic, the media is losing its grip, and the globalists' plans are crumbling. The fire, my friends, is rising. For Infowars.com, this has been Harrison Smith.